A trigger warning. The content of this video may contain content that is distressing for some viewers, so viewer discretion is advised, and themes of ritualistic sacrifices are mentioned within this video. So, with that said, sacrifices. So I'm going to stick with human sacrifices, and I may touch on alternative ones near the end of the video. But to stay on point, human sacrifices happen throughout humanity, through existence over the centuries. This has happened in various cultures, religions, and groups such as Vikings and the Aztecs, and so many more. And religion is often touted as being a force for the moral good. But as I say, it can have a sinister side, sinister individuals dwelling within these religions, being manipulative, using it as a way as coercive control. And we find that happening with a lot of cult situations that have happened over the years. And ceremonial killings are or was a way of exchange, offerings to appease gods, for social control, a way to preserve power by social elites, to instill fear as well. Many would justify these sacrifices as a means to protect the masses, glorifying, this chosen one. And that poor individual, I can't even imagine the fear, during some of these sacrifices, because they could be quite brutal. So, they would do it in ways to prevent war, famine, to protect things like their crops, to have good harvest. And many ritual sacrifices would be carried out by priests, priestesses, elders, and the hierarchy, spiritual master, if you like, of that culture. So many of these sacrifices would involve blood drinking, ripping out of organs such as hearts while the person was still alive. It would be things like burned alive, bludgeoned and hanged, dismembered, buried alive, strangling, decapitation, tossed into pits of natural sinkholes or sentials, honor suicides. So, this stuff is quite horrific and brutal. It's what horror films are made of. But this has happened over time and has been a tradition. And I believe wholeheartedly that human sacrifice still exists. I believe there are very powerful individuals who are either into the tradition and the faith and carrying out that type of occult ceremony, or there are powerful psychopathic individuals who are serial killers that never get caught because they get their feed from this, and because they're so powerful and influential that anyone that would dare speak up against them, something very bad will happen to them, because that has happened over time. When certain high-profile people speak up against the establishment, it never ends well. Hence why there is so many question marks and theories over some significant cases and the information that they shared out into the public world. So when we've got serial killers running around the place, we have parents killing their children, we have other heinous murders and predators. I really don't understand why people find it so hard to believe that human sacrifices are still happening. I think it's a case of having eyes wide shut, like I've mentioned before, and it's like, people are only interested in what's happening within their immediate life circle. So this is why I believe that in many missing cases where there is no evidence, no trace, the bodies are never recovered, and years later, nothing. Even with all this technology and with other cases being solved, I truly believe that many of these missing cases are paid for humans who end up in a very elite setting, and I do believe that they are killed for these type of ritualistic sacrifice purposes. And understand why that is going to be really hard for many of you to believe and to take in, and that is absolutely fine. Like I said, this is my opinion and this is my belief. There is also those situations where high-profile people who speak out against the establishment, many seem to end up having very mysterious deaths or untimely deaths or suspicious circumstances. So, and that is fact. And that is why there is so many then people having question marks around those deaths, and why there is so many theories around those deaths, and why there is so many conspiracy theories out there, because things simply don't add up. And there has been people who have spoke out about abuse in Hollywood, about the predatory nature in Hollywood. We've had people coming out talking about rituals, blood sacrifices, and, the abduction of humans for those purposes. And, some of those disappear, or some of those simply end up being classed as not all there, and that they have lost the plot, or have a grievance and a grudge to bear, or, are trying to gain more attention because their career is going downhill. But that's not the case in a lot of these situations. Many of them have a great following, still at the high end of their success, but they still mysteriously disappear or assassinated or suicide. It's crazy. I mean, these are not all coincidences. Sorry, but they're not. So a lot of the individuals in missing cases where there's no trace, there's no evidence, bodies never ever found, no one ever comes to trial for those missing people, I believe that many of those, a portion of those individuals, children or adults, have been paid for by very powerful, influential people, hence why everything goes quiet and everything remains cold in the leads, or there is always something really strange surrounding the case. Videos going missing, footage going missing, evidence being tampered with, crime scene being messed up. It's not a coincidence. Some of these cases are definitely down to paid for abductions. Whether people want to call this the dark web, or whether people want to call this the underground human market, it is happening, the same as all the other organisations are operating with the traffickers. And I believe there is a specific want and desire for humans for these rituals. And I believe high prices are paid. And I'm talking millions in some of these high-profile missing children. And that is what I feel they are paid and ordered for. And this is what I feel. So for me, it's about, thinking logically that if all these other heinous things are going on, why isn't this happening? I mean, it would be strange in a sense if it wasn't. It's just that these people very, very rarely get caught. Certain ones do, and I believe they're thrown out there to the lions, so to speak, because they've become a risk, because people have become uncomfortable or unsteady with them, so they throw them out there. And that's how those ones get caught. So that there is a means of satisfying those question marks that have risen within the public settings. Right, there you go, we'll feed you this. And then people accept that. So, if anyone in these circles are compromising any given situation, they're dealt with. And I truly believe that. So, depraved people like Epstein, Maxwell, I just believe, they're the ones who have been compromising some type of protection order, if you like, for the other elite involved. And of course, there's always someone bigger and better up those chains of the ladder. So this is, again, what I believe is happening. I believe it does happen in Hollywood. I do believe it happens everywhere in institutions. I believe there are secret societies, these closed clubs. I believe there are significant times of the year certain things happen. I believe that there are these secret mansion parties that happen where I believe identities are covered with masks. I believe it happens. And, a lot of the information around all of this is fed to us in really bizarre ways. So it does show it's happening, it's just you don't see it. So the films like Hostel, when you see these certain films that are made like Eyes Wide Shut, and when you've got other storylines that happen, the information is out there and it gets fed. So that gives the element of like a cover story. Well, we are informing everyone. It's just that they choose not to believe it. So it's a very strange state of affairs. It's a very horrible state of affairs, and it is happening. So, I may bring up some cases, certain individuals that I feel have been part of this or have become victim to this, those ones who have tried to speak up. And that should be interesting as well as I go along over time, because, I'm in no hurry. I'm going to continue to upload different videos, and it's no race for me. I'm happy to be a slow burning channel, just enjoying the content. And this is almost going to be like a library of content as well for the family to be able to sort of keep and watch and, and actually get to know my deeper understanding of life and beliefs and alternative viewpoints. So, for me, it's as time has gone on and time and maturity goes on, your sort of perspectives change, and for me, I'm just happy to be sharing the information that I do and the way and manner that I'm doing it. So yes, thank you for watching. And before I end, there are other people who have very strong evidence who is proving all of this or have life experience of this happening, and they just simply not believed. I do believe they will have many followers who believe what they're saying, but when you look at the overall masses of people in this world, it's a very small percentage that will ever believe or accept or be open to this happening. And that's why this is all happened, and all these cases, they'll never be brought to justice because of that reason. So take care. Have a wonderful morning, noon or night, wherever you are around the world. Blessings to you from Cerridwen.